You are now listening to For All Nerds Show, a podcast about geek and pop culture from the perspective of people of color. For All Nerds is hosted by DJ BenHaMeen and Tatiana King Jones. For All Nerds Show is a member of the Loudspeakers Network, where we always say rest in peace to our founder, Combat Jack.
For All Nerds Show is powered by our listeners. Everything we do, from our podcasts, live events, our website, are all independently funded. Please continue to support us through our Patreon page at patreon.com/forallnerds. Welcome to For All Nerds.
And what's up, y'all, and welcome to a very extreme special edition of the For All Nerds Show, aka Views from the 616, where we discuss everything in geek and pop culture from the perspective of people of color. In this case, especially that Marvel stuff, because it's your boy DJ BenHaMeen, aka the Ghost in the Shelter, aka keep that same energy on when you see me reading Rambo, Benny and the Jetsons, Meek Millhouse, the anti-trife equation, back in the spaceship, here today, alongside
Tatiana King, the Grand Duchess of Tech, also known as For Us by The Last of Us, Mulatto Hightower, Scroll Obsidian, Tatiana King, the Conqueror, the Book of Ashanti, the Wrath of Khonshu, Doc Aki, T'Challa Bread. Who else? I feel like I just want to name them all now.
I didn't get in.
And the Ting of the North.
There we go. I didn't get in my new one. What is it? Dar BenHaMeen? Yes.
Dar BenHaMeen, yeah.
Yes. Big up Dar BenHaMeen. Grills. All about them grills.
Yes. So Dar BenHaMeen, fitting name because we last night got to see The Marvels. The Marvels opens wide on November 10th, right? Which is this Friday. So we talked a lot about, in our other shows, we talked a lot about how like it was a late screening, so we didn't know what to make of it. If that was a good sign, a bad sign. We obviously have our thoughts. We did some preliminary social media comments. And I think you guys are going to be surprised by what you hear from us.
Mm-hmm. And I'm guessing this will be pretty much a spoiler review. We're going to keep it like, we're not going to get into
there's a major post-credit scenes that I don't think I want to spoil potentially.
No, not at all.
It's too early.
I don't feel like it's that major, but
I would say tread lightly. What we tend to do when we do our reviews, we tend to talk about general themes and maybe story arcs. If there are any characterizations, we try not to say exactly things that happen as much as we can, because also like you may not know what we're talking about anyway. So I don't know. We'll try to keep it together. Yeah. But this is the warning. If you just don't want to hear about it whatsoever, like if you don't even want even an inkling of anything before you get to watch the movie, then you might want to wait. Take this with a grain of salt. I'm warning you now. Otherwise, just listen in, because we are going to tell you how we feel about the aspects of the movie and whether we liked it or not.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So before we get into any specifics, from a high level, did you enjoy this film? The Marvels, directed by Nia DaCosta. Starring Iman Vellani as Kamala Khan, Miss Marvel, Tiana Paris as Monica Rambeau, and Brie Larson returning as Carol Danvers, Captain Marvel.
Did you enjoy this movie? On did I enjoy this movie? I enjoyed parts of this film. I would say that. I did. I thought overall, let's say, overall, top, I would give it about a B, C plus. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. A good. I think your mileage will vary on this film too. I think that's what it is too. I think it might be geared a bit younger than I was expecting, and that being said, I think it might work for that, but I also feel like it's not one of those films where it worked on multiple levels, where it's like, it can work for a younger child as well as the adults. I think for the adults, it might be a little bit goofy and silly and kind of just lightweight, I guess, is, not substantial, I guess is the word.
Okay, I hear what you're
Yeah.
saying. I know what you mean. I enjoy this movie. Just point blank period. I enjoyed
Yeah.
it. I thought The Marvels was a lot of fun. Using your letter grade rating, I would give it a B plus, maybe A minus.
Okay.
It was a higher for me, and unfortunately, because of so much vitriol and hate spewed on this movie before anyone said boo, anyone said a word, that it unfortunately clouded a lot of people's minds. Like, oh my God, this is, we're going to be in trouble. Oh my God, it's going to be another Thor, Love and Thunder. At least in my head, I was like, I don't want it to be that. That movie I did not enjoy. Okay. And
No.
also, I did not really particularly like the Captain Marvel film. I gave it like a C minus. I did not like the Carol Danvers Captain Marvel characterization of the first film. I did not connect with her. Unfortunately, I felt like it was a film made for white women, and I just it didn't do it for me. To be very honest with you, and of course that doesn't. And that all being said, none of that didn't mean that Brie and all these other people should have received the hate and the backlash that they did. But that's how I felt about Captain Marvel. My concerns about how I felt about that movie and that characterization were completely turned around for me in The Marvels. Okay. I felt The Marvels was so strong in its ensemble cast. I felt that the additions of Tiana Paris, Monica Rambeau, and Iman Vellani together, all three, they were extremely, extremely strong. And for me, the breakout star and the real draw of The Marvels was actually Iman Vellani as an actor, period, but also her Miss Marvel. That was the biggest draw in The Marvels for me. That was the absolute heart of the film, her and her family, because as you guys know from all the trailers, the family is in this as well. But that is really what keeps you engaged the most during the movie. Overall, I just thought it was a solid film. Was it the best Marvel movie? No. Was it the worst? Absolutely not. I just think that they have a good movie here. I would absolutely recommend it to people. While I have notes and questions and concerns and things that I felt did not work, overall, I felt very good about this film.
I would probably recommend it as well. And I wouldn't recommend it for those who are, as they say, looking for answers or any of that thing. Those who are like, oh, what's this? How does this connect to that? And where are we going to be in phase 5? And oh, now I can clearly see the picture. If you're doing any of that, I would not recommend this film. I would recommend it if you want a good family fun, not that long, really. That's one thing. It's only an hour and a half. It's a, quick, and lighthearted. So if you want a lighthearted film, this is definitely that. And
yes,
everything you just laid out, I mean, going back to the first Captain Marvel about it being a white woman feminist film, going to, Iman just being a absolute superstar. Like we said this,
huge superstar.
You can go back and listen to our reviews of the Miss Marvel series where we gushed over it, where we talked to the showrunner, where we just constantly talked about how this young woman is the future of Marvel. Like we called her the new Robert Downey Jr. Like she is the centerpiece of the future of Marvel to me. Like,
and I'm feeling that even much more strongly now. Like for me, first of all, her Disney Plus TV show performed way better than all the other subsequent shows that have been coming out thus far. So, and not just in performance in terms of reception, critical reception, audience reception, but also just in terms of, as we always complain about, where is the story? Where's the characters? Where is the arc? Miss Marvel was probably one of the last Marvel shows in the last year or so, to me, that have really hit the mark on all facets. There are shows that there's certain things that were okay about it, but then other things fell flat for me in the most recent memory. But Miss Marvel really did that for me. And because of the strength of that show and the strength of them actually taking components from that show and placing it in the Marvels, and also really lending, and you can see like there was a full swell of support in the writing for Miss Marvel in the Marvels.
Mhm.
For Iman Vellani's again, her way of doing that character, her way of bringing that character to life, like that was full force in this film, and I think that lent a huge lifting hand to why, for me, The Marvels as a film worked very well.
Yeah, I fully agree. I mean, I cannot deny any of that. You know, I fully agree with all of that. I think Iman just kills it. I think her family absolutely destroys it. You know, when you were just talking, I was just laughing at myself. We're in hell. He has us in hell. You know?
No, like it uses and that's why one of the other reasons why the Miss Marvel TV show was so good, because it's about fantastical things happening, but it also, to quote Don Toretto, family, like,
yes.
But it wasn't in a cheesy way either. It was like, this is this is what would happen if a typical family, and in this case a Pakistani family, but a typical family color found out that you was a superhero and you trying to hide it, and this, that, and happen, and you're in Jersey City. So that understanding was all there. And as mentioned, it was they follow suit within the Marvels. So while it was great if you had seen that show, as well as WandaVision and everything else, while it was great if you did not have that background, they still were very smartly incorporated a lot of those threads into the very opening of the Marvels, so that you were caught up and in line with what was happening, even if you never watched any of the previous stuff.
Yeah, and I really want to give them a shout out for that, because that was one of the questions people had going in, was how were they going to, if you hadn't seen WandaVision, which introduced Monica Rambeau,
or Captain Marvel, or
Miss Marvel, how would we be caught up on all these characters and where they're at right now? And I thought it was pretty brilliant, I have to say, with the writing.
Very well done.
Because Miss Marvel was well done, and then Monica Rambeau is caught up with Carol and the audience in pretty much one hilarious line, which really just sums up the wildness of WandaVision in one line.
Yes.
And catches you up to where Monica is right now. And so I thought that was really well done. I have to give them credit for that.
So so all that stupid shit about, how they gonna connect everything, and you need to have seen 10 hours of other stuff to understand, you don't. You can come into this clean and pure with nothing else on you, and you will still get it. Like, they literally, and they do it, as BenHaMeen said, in a very expert fashion. I will give it up to them, and in a way that anybody can understand with no context.
No context, yeah. And I think that was a very well done on their part, because that was a lot of heavy lifting that they had to get through to get this done and get it to a point where you can just enjoy this film. And there has been that complaint where people are like, oh, there's too much Marvel now, I gotta watch this and this and this. And I really feel like this film does not require you to do any of that. And even more so than like where Doctor Strange Multiverse of Madness, when you watch that, and if you've watched WandaVision, it's kind of, you're like, what the fuck? Kind of.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, Wanda was a villain in WandaVision, and she stays a villain in Doctor Strange.
Correct.
So it does connect for the most part. This is more so where if you didn't watch Miss Marvel stuff, you're just caught up instantly. This family is dope as fuck. You get them. They're hilarious. Their interactions with Kamala are so great. So I think this did a very good job of that. And especially for it only being an hour and a half.
The other thing I want to debunk about this film, and again, this is more like incel foolishness, but like, it's a feminist film, and where I said earlier about how one of the reasons why I actually did not like Captain Marvel, the first film, was because I felt like it was very like white woman kind of girl power type of approach to it, and it was overly done, and it was like super obvious, and it just for me, it didn't track. The Marvels is not this hyper feminist thing that people are making it out to be. And again, I just liken it to the whole, as I mentioned, incel foolishness, because it's like you see more than one woman and all of a sudden it's a feminist agenda. And I'm just like, go sit down. This is not what there are a breadth of women in this film. It's led by women. It's actually mostly women in the film. It's this whole women taking over the world, like, no. And first of all, if you feel that way, you're weird. And secondly, that's just not what this film is about. The Marvels is not about that. And that weird approach that people are saying that this is about a race of men, blah blah. Nigga, we're not even thinking about you. Like, that's not what this is. So and I just want to make that very clear. So that's just something else to debunk. as we mentioned, you don't need to have all the background story. No, this is not some feminist agenda film. No, this is actually while there were points where I had questioned, there was nothing that was overly cheesy girl power to me in this. It was actually cute and made sense, particularly in the certain sequences that they came up in. So I just wanted to mention that stuff.
And no, thank you for doing that. And I also
Yeah.
want to say, give a shout out to Janicia F, who says their podcast is a womanist race podcast. And I always like that word more than feminist because I'm also more of the humanist side, where I'm a person who believes that, humanity needs to be equal for things to work out on this planet. Otherwise, as we have seen, we're screwed. So this idea that, like you said, this is a, man bashing film or something is some bullshit. Because honestly,
nobody think about you, bro.
Nobody's thinking about you, bro. And me watching it, I didn't even think about that once. And it wasn't until you bring it up that I'm like, oh yeah, the antagonist is a woman. The 3 protagonists are all women.
You didn't even think about it. It's just like, oh shit. Now that you mention it, yeah. Most people that you saw, like for the first whatever, they were all women. All right, cool. You didn't even, and that's when I said it didn't feel like heavy-handed and deliberate. Like this is about the power of women sticking together. Who run the world, girls? It's not that. This is not that. It is by virtue of the power that they show, of the camaraderie and family and all that shit. Yes, it does give that understanding, but it's not that storybook, after school special type thing that people are trying to make it, or certain people may try to make it out to be.
No, not at all. Yeah. I fully agree there. I think it's a little more even heavy-handed in its family.
It's more heavy-handed in the family, yeah. Especially as you go into the film deeper, like towards the I would say the second half of the film. That's when it starts really getting a little bit Fast and the Furious, and it's like, all right, I get it, but nothing to me. And we'll talk about it soon about the things that I have notes on, the issues I had. To me, there was enough fun and entertainment that it just overrode those concerns. One thing, I guess, this is also and we'll talk about the characters as well, but just kind of just staying on that path of like debunking or just confirming how you felt. The special effects. What did you feel about the special effects, BenHaMeen?
All right, now this is where we start to get into some of my more, where I was a little more critical of the film in this part. And this is just in general, sadly, it has little to do with Nia DaCosta. I think this is just Marvel, man. Like,
yeah, it's nothing to do with Nia.
People have really pointed this out. One, like their color palette is very weird. Sometimes it's very bland.
Sometimes it's muted. It's muted, and it's
super muted.
Why is it so muted to be like reds and blues? And
reds and blues look more dirty than they look bright and colorful. And especially in the opening, and then we saw this in IMAX, right? And I was thinking about that when I came home, because this is like one of the illest IMAX theaters. The Lincoln,
it's huge.
It's one of the best I've ever been in my life, honestly, and it's one of the best. I've looked it up in New York, and I didn't feel anything like that. There's this one fire ass shot of Bree leaving her ship, and it's like upside down. It's really dope. Other than that, man, I was really like, and now that I do have to say is Nia, and that gets into something else I want to get into.
What, the direction of how they shot her, like floating and stuff like that?
Action, everything. Nia comes from, and this is, we've discussed this on the show before, right? One thing that I love about Nia DaCosta's career is that she is doing this thing that a lot of white men in this industry get to do. It's like, they'll do a very small independent film that's very character driven, usually 1 or 2 people and, small locations, everything. And then after that, they get the biggest movies in the world. Like Colin Trevorrow did a very small independent film, turn around, gets Jurassic World. And it's like, what the fuck? Why did you deserve that? After that.
But why not?
But okay, for the white man, it's why not every time. Now, for the black woman, it's never that. Now, Nia, did her little small film, which I love, with Tessa Thompson, very character-driven, very dope movie. And then she turned around and did Candyman. I really did not enjoy that film pretty much at all. And I think one thing is that these directors, right? There's people like Steven Spielberg, who their very first independent films are very action. This is what they do. This is what they are living for. That's their everything. Like his first film is this movie Duel about some truck drivers, and it's it's got all the Steven Spielberg characteristics that you know. And people like James Cameron, his first big film is Terminator, and that was a Terminator for its time. The budget is very small, but you see all the stuff that Cameron is going to later, be worldwide known for. Now, Nia did this very small independent film, and then they turn around and give her Candyman, which is definitely more, small and stuff, but it's more effects, all this big budget, and then you get the Marvels, which is action, huge, boombastic moments and stuff. And I feel like these directors and these companies need to really make a focus on like, okay, if this person is the character person, then have them have a stunt team that's gonna make this shit crazy. And I don't really feel that with the Marvels. It was more like the character stuff is great. The action stuff is like
okay.
And
Go ahead, continue.
Yeah, one last thing on that, like with that palette and stuff, especially in the beginning, like when the introduction and we have the villain finding one of the bangles that she's looking for, it looked like a set. And a lot of it looked
did
like,
look like a set.
sets.
Yeah.
And they're supposed to be in space, and this is supposed to be this grand thing. Even Captain Marvel, when she's floating in space at points, it doesn't feel grand. And that's what I feel this is missing. Even back to Brie and Carol Danvers, when she's in the Endgame and Infinity War or whatever, when she really shows up in Endgame, and she's blasting through ships, it's this moment, In this, I really didn't get that moment where it's like, yo, that's Captain effing Marvel, boy. She ain't one to F with. And that goes for her. That goes for Monica Rambeau, who, while I definitely feel like she had a much better turnout in here than she did in WandaVision, again, it's like you have to nerf these two because they're so powerful. But then that's my thing. Marvel has antagonists who can be on their level. Why not use one of them instead of making it where they just don't serve this fool in 5 seconds? Because they should have served this fool in 5 seconds.
Yeah. I'm going to work my way backwards because I do want to answer that question about FX and all that other stuff. But that's one of my biggest gripes with Marvel to date is the nerfing of the power set and also the inconsistent.
Oh, God.
The highly inconsistent illustrations of power sets and then combinations or comparisons thereof, the combination thereof, right? Like I have a huge problem with that because when I talk about inconsistent, they truly decide to pick and choose when they're going to show how powerful a character is or how not powerful, as long as it fits within the narrative of that film or that story. And I think, or that scene, right? Sometimes within the scene of the same story, the power sets will change, or the power levels will change, and that is a huge concern and problem for me because it's just like I could not
stop thinking about what y'all pointed out last night about the antagonists.
And again, we'll get all that detail, but I wanted to just make the mention that is a problem because this has been a huge concern because I'm just like, how do people then believe you? How do people then understand the magnitude, or as you say, the scale and scope of something, such as things happening within I don't want to say the confines, the vastness of space, of universes and galaxies? There's a point within the Marvels where literally Miss Marvel travels between galaxies and I'm talking about
Miss
on her
Marvel
own,
or Captain?
Excuse me, Captain Marvel travels between galaxies on her own volition. Captain Marvel, y'all know, could fly and all this other shit. And I don't think it's understood the magnitude of what she just did because it's not shown or it hasn't been expressed properly just how insane this is. And there's another point, again, I'm not going to spoil that, but there's a point in the movie where she does something that literally only, to use the old X-Men references, Omega level, whatever beyond Omega level, there's something she does that only a being of that level could do. Okay, we're talking about beings that can give life and death. There's only a certain thing that could be done for that being. But yet a few scenes prior, it's like she's tussling with a regular fucking person. Right, she's tussling in the woods with a bear, and it's just like, wait a minute. And not literally, guys. I'm just trying to give you an understanding of how it doesn't make sense what Marvel does this, and it's annoying to me.
Oh my God. You know what? That would have made the Flash better if in that scene Nick Cage had been wrestling with some polar bears.
Right, And again, we're not being literal. There are no literal polar bears in
that's
in
a reference
Marvels.
from the Nick Cage Superman film. At one point, the producer said they needed more action in the film, and so Kevin Smith was writing it, and he was like, well, we need some action when he goes to the Fortress of Solitude. And he's like, it's the Fortress of Solitude. That's why he goes there.
There's no fighting. This is not the Revenant. Like, goddamn, like, relax.
So he was like, well, we need some action. So Kevin Smith was like, all right, well, on page 125, Superman wrestles with some polar bears.
Yeah, see, because they're there, right? But anyway, my whole point of saying all that was, I don't like how they use.
She was struggling with the polar bears.
Yeah. They use characters' power levels just simply to fit that scene, and then we'll change it up perhaps 2 scenes later. It's just like, well, wait. I thought you were one of the most powerful beings out there. No, why is you going toe to toe with Scooby-Doo? I don't understand.
That scene you were talking about, that is like when it happened, I was like, holy shit!
Yeah, like this doesn't make sense. And again, this is not relegated just to the Marvels. This is relegated across, I would say, at least the last at least 5 years. I don't know, because, and also I say it makes sense that it's 5 years because that's when they started introducing the god and celestial level beings, right? And I think they have a problem, or they're unsure of how to. I understand in certain reasons nerfing certain characters because the truth is, if that character showed up, everybody would die, right? Or everybody would be beat or what have you. I get it. But there's ways you can more artfully express it but still keeping it interesting. And I just don't know if Marvel has found that happy medium yet with all characters, with it's particularly their extra superpower characters. I just don't know. And also that is an ongoing problem with Marvel characters in general because they tend to be God focused. They tend to be celestial focused. They tend to be universally galaxy, multidimensional, the higher level ones that they're trying to introduce now. So it's just like I see that it's been a struggle for them to go from earthbound characters, with the exception of Thor, earthbound characters and how that works out to now you're introducing a fucking celestial in the middle of the ocean or whatever the fuck, right? Like, I get it. I see that there's still the struggle. The struggle has not ended. It's still ongoing, y'all. But
especially because that celestial was still not brought up, and you would think somebody like Captain Marvel would be interested in that.
No, because she's not interested in that. Remember, she's interested in saving the galaxy. She established that. She didn't even fucking come home.
She never gives a damn.
She hasn't even come home in 30 goddamn years. So whatever, you know.
You're right.
She the father. I'm going out for some milk and never fucking came back. All right. Now that's that.
I want to go back. They made the white woman do that out of everybody.
That's fantastic, by the way. Let's leave your kids behind.
Yes. Finally, the white woman is.
I do want to go back, Ben.
Daddy.
I do want to go back, Ben, to my original question to you, which was, how did you feel about the special effects? The special effects were a mixed bag for me.
Yes,
there were times
that scene you were just talking about. Yeah, now that I'm thinking about it, that was some epic shit.
Yeah,
that was some out of control. Like,
it was a mixed bag because, and literally for this film, the Marvels 50-50. There were times where I was like, "Yo, that looks fucking amazing." Unlike you, I actually really enjoyed the fight scenes, the action sequences. I didn't have no problems with it. I thought the fight scenes particularly were really well done because another issue I had always had with Marvel was like I felt like, and also because you hadn't seen enough of the female characters, them really fucking punching each other through fucking walls and ships and going in. Like, I'm used to when I see women heroes fighting, I'm used to Wonder Woman level DC animation levels, like, type stuff. Whereas like Wonder Woman going toe to toe with everybody, right? And they throwing 56 pieces at each other, and it's not no hesitation. It's bomb. You know what I'm saying? Some Injustice level shit. Okay. What I felt here when I was watching the Marvels, I felt I was getting Capcom versus Marvel vibes, and I loved it. They did so well the switch outs and ins of all three Marvel characters, Miss Marvel, Captain Rambeau, and so on. Like, they did so well in executing that idea that all three were entangled with each other. So then how do they then use that as a strength, right? First of all, how do they work through that? Which, again, I thought that was brilliantly done, of how they even basically trained up to actually being able to work together when they're bound in that way. And also, as mentioned, in the fight scenes, I just think to see and then it actually showed a progression from them being like, what the fuck is happening? And they're not working together to really working together as a unified team, dead ass gaming, like you're fighting, and you do the switch out real quick, bang, I'm gonna throw in Captain Marvel, do an energy thing, pow, I'm gonna throw in Miss Marvel and do the fist, like literally all that shit that you would think would make sense in the context of like if you do like a combo sequence in like any like really major game now, that's what it felt like it felt smooth and it made sense to me. So I really actually enjoyed the fight scenes. Were there times where the direction and the imagery, like it was confusing and it was a little like shaky cam? Yes, there was some of that stuff, whatever. And again, I felt that shit worked. And some of the scenes in space absolutely did work. Some of the display of the power sets, like the energy auras, the dissipation of energy, the absorption of energy between the three characters, I think that looked really good as well. What it fell short for me in terms of special effects was what you said, like the way certain things just looked, it was very muted, and it's like it could have been more vibrant. I did agree that there were a lot of general random scenes, particularly like a scene like when they're on like a moon or a planet or whatever. And even certain other planets where it did like look like a set. I mean, to the point where Darben, like she's touching things, she's moving stuff around, and it looks like styrofoam. It looks and even sounds like styrofoam.
Yes.
And I was like, ooh.
Darben's introduction was rough. I was like, I don't know when they shot that, but that was like, oof.
What do they call the sound people? The graphers? The
Foley artists.
The Foley artists. I was just like, ooh, I think they needed giving the Foley artists more time on that one because like it's just like it just did not feel grand as you said. And then of course I mentioned earlier a few moments ago about like there was some shaky cam stuff happening where you may not been sure what was going on, but I understand the whole point was to express the chaoticness of what was going on in that, and fine, whatever. There were a few close-up shots of Miss Marvel in space where I was just like, ooh, that looks muddy. Like her face was even like blurry a little bit. And I know like that's been a big point of contention in recent Marvel films that they were like, yo, why is this final film? Why is shit blurry? And we all come to find out. And also kudos to the graphic artists and the designers and everyone in art who's trying to form a union now. Animation are trying to form a union now because a lot of times they have literally worked to the bone and beyond. And then they truncate timelines for these films and say, okay, the stuff that really takes 10 months of work, we want y'all to do it in 3. And it's just impossible. And so I don't BenHaMeen and myself say that with a grain of salt. Like we're giving our critique, but we also recognize some of this is out of control of the animators as well, because they're being asked to do something. They're being asked to do the impossible. So,
right.
All right.
That's same. And that applies to Nia DaCosta as well, and all these directors. They're all working under a system that is unsustainable and it's some bullshit. And that's why everybody is on strike right now, because this, cannot sustain itself, and they're being asked to do things they shouldn't be asked to do. Like Nia herself said, she signed up for a 2-year commitment, which is already crazy. But that's usual. That's how it works. You're signing away 2 years of your life to do a film. And then it turns out that now it's a 3-year commitment. And it's
3 and a half.
3.5. I signed up for 2 years. And I gave y'all 2 years and probably gave y'all 3 for real, because you were probably working her ass before she even signed the contract in the first place. So it's probably 3 years already. So it's probably 4.5 years of her life she's already dedicated to this. It's like, come on, fam, no. Like, so if the opening sequence looks a little muddy, I can understand because, things happen.
Yeah.
But yeah. And going back to what you said, I thought the training sequence was super fire. Like, I loved it. That was like, it took the fun 80s training sequence, but made it, not girl power, but like family oriented, friends getting to know each other, everybody hanging out on a long trip, but also we got to train for this big fight that's coming up. So I love that.
And it didn't feel corny, which is what I was
great.
There was lots of corny shit happening for me in Captain Marvel, the first film, and then they got rid of all of that. There was none of that. I've only
seen Captain Marvel the one time we saw it at the screening. I've never watched it again. I had no desire. I will say that though, this one suffers from, God damn it, I gotta say it. Look, folks, there are more Beastie Boys songs out there. That's all I'll say.
Marvel, another problem Marvel got. Stop with all this on the nose like
music.
This shit is, and there's more stuff than Beastie Boys.
Yeah, James Gunn started this thing, I feel, with Marvel, where it's all these needle drops, and he's very good at it. He's one of those directors who knows music and uses it well. Even him, I feel like, pushes the limit a lot. In Guardians 3, I felt like he pushed the limit. And this is one of those ones where it's just like, ugh. We don't need it. It was just unnecessary.
Music choices were eye roll in this many times. Let's talk about, I think we should, I don't know if you want to talk about the overall story, or you want to talk about the characters.
Yeah, because something that I guess I have to say, and it hurts me to say this, right? And I thought about it all night since we came home because I really didn't want to say this, but there was a lot of hate towards Brie Larson. You know, I went to the Captain Marvel set. We discussed it. I met Brie in person. I think in person she's so kind, so sweet, extremely beautiful. Just seems like a really chill person. And she caught all of this hate. People were like, blah, blah, blah. She ain't this, she ain't that. I have to say, man, after 2 of these films, I'm not sure what it is. I don't find her charismatic as Carol Danvers. Like, I think in Endgame, she bounces off of Chris Hemsworth and the rest of them very well. And in this, she can bounce off Iman and Tiana herself. I'm not, I guess,
we'll talk about her.
Yeah.
Too. Yeah.
I don't.
Let's finish with Brie. Well, not even Brie, but Carol Danvers.
Yeah, and Carol Danvers. But yeah, as Carol Danvers, I just don't find her engaging. I don't find her, like, she has brief moments from like, ooh, there it is. Mm-hmm. But for the most part, it's just like, it's so flat and so, it's kind of how I found Rosario's performance as Ahsoka, where it's like, I get it, this character's been through a lot and she's military, etc. But Ahsoka before this has this levity that she's missing now, even though I get it, she's been through a lot. And Brie is just missing any levity to me at all for the most part. It's just always like, I'm here, And,
Her portrayal, and not Brie, but her portrayal of Carol Danvers.
Yeah, Carol Danvers. I don't know.
This is echoing what I said to you about what I felt about the Captain Marvel film. I did not connect or particularly like Carol Danvers, Captain Marvel. I didn't feel it. And in the places where Captain Marvel is by herself, I'm just like, all right, cool. We just in a room together. Where this strengthened her was the ensemble of all 3 of the Marvel beings together. Yeah. That's what absolutely helped and uplift that characterization of Carol Danvers, because again, not really the biggest fan in the MCU, and now like when y'all all together, it's a fucking party, and I was with it. You mentioned
I want to hear what you want to say about
Tiana.
First of all, she's so fine.
Yeah, she is fine, and she looks absolutely gorgeous in the film. Tiana's
look that good in that spacesuit is what I
Tiana's Captain Rambeau. Monica Rambeau.
Can't hide that thing under a sweater, boys.
Stop! We get it.
That's all I'm gonna say.
I don't know yet if I'm connected to Monica. So here's the thing. I have my concern with how they wrote her, and I keep saying the word concern.
Concern ain't the word for WandaVision. Yeah.
I was annoyed by how she was depicted in WandaVision. We talked about that. Was this 2 years ago now?
2 years ago, yeah.
How it was giving Mammy. It was giving strangeness. Not Doctor Strange, but strangeness about, and I get it. Like you're trying to say she's a humanist and this and this and that, and the jumping in front of the fake
I'm
kids.
A humanist. No, fuck that.
The jumping in front of the fake kids for a bullet.
How about that? Forgiving a white woman for terrorizing a town. Yeah. I'm a humanist.
And being the only forgiving, even the white people in the town was like, "Fuck you, Wanda."
You and this woman talk about they'll never know what you sacrificed.
I don't know, and perhaps I don't know. I don't know. Again, this characterization just of this version of Monica just being so hope filled.
God damn.
I did like that in this film. She does show a different emotion besides just hope, right? Mm-hmm. She also shows annoyance, disappointment, sadness towards Carol. Okay, fine. And you guys saw that in like the most recent trailers. Like there's some unfinished business there. Okay, fine. I still like, while I feel better about how she came out from WandaVision, I'm still not all the way there with her. Mm-mm. I don't know if it could be the writing, could be the way that character's being. I don't know. I always go back to the writing, because the writing is going to, while the actor has to bring about the life of what's being written, is like, that's what's being written, right? And and that's what they're being essentially told to do. Yes, actors have some level of autonomy, but it's also just like, well, like they have but so much to go on. So I don't know. I don't know what it is yet. I think maybe we just need more time with Monica, because to be honest, this is the most time we've had with Monica. This is the most time we had with Tiana Paris's Monica. Yeah. And in a way that wasn't necessarily just tied to like Wanda or somebody else, or you know what I mean? Like, yes, it's an ensemble, like I said, but she still stands on her own much more in this film. I still just don't think we have enough time to really see what's happening. And at the end of the movie, they telegraph that maybe we will get something more focused. I would love a Monica focused.
And without spoiling what happens at the end, this end credit scene and the end of the film, was one of my issues coming out of this, is because of the vastness of the Marvel universe now. Even though we have all of these different films and series going on, we still got to wait years to find out what happens to a particular character, because now it's What If is coming out in December, which won't solve anything, just to tell some stories.
No, it's just going to tell some stories, right?
Which is going to be great. I can't wait. I love What If. And then we have EchoNet. So it's like, now we're going back to the street, and whatever happens with these cosmic characters, who knows? And that's the big problem right now, because it's like you have all these things. But when you talk about, I don't need answers, but I just need, if I'm watching one series, if I'm watching Lost, and, I'm like, damn, what's going to happen to these motherfuckers on this island? I know next season, I'm going to find out what's going to happen to these motherfuckers on this island. But now with Marvel being so huge, I don't have no clue when I'm going to find out what's going to happen to these motherfuckers on the island. Because I'm going to have to go find out what's going to happen to these people over in Manhattan, and these people over in California, and these people over here in the next universe. And so because of that, I'm not looking for answers before anyone comes to me like, oh, yeah, don't you see what's happening? We're going to Secret Wars, and in Secret Wars, no shit, Sherlock. But that's one film, and that's like not going to give me any time with these characters. That's going to be a big mashup of a lot of things going on, and it's not going to be what I want to see from Auntie Monica, Monica Rambeau, the leader, the Avengers, the character that I grew up loving. And if we just had a series following Monica, I would get that.
I honestly, that's what I really want, because I don't know what to make. Like, I don't even know what to make of, like, you could see that they're trying to essentially maybe pin a lot of things on Monica, but then to your point, she's just going to be in stasis till whatever movie, how many years from now, as far as I know, right? Maybe we'll see some more. We'll see continuation in other films.
I'm hoping. And
who knows? But like, how long do we have to wait to see? I don't know who Monica is in MCU version. I don't know who Monica is really.
And that's the difference. Like, people keep talking about, well, just wait. We waited for this and that. But before, it was because it was such a tight-knit group. It was 5 core Avengers. And it wasn't even 5. It was just Iron Man being introduced. Then Thor being introduced. And then you got to know them all. And then very quick, well, not very quickly, but within 5 years, they came together and had the Avengers, where you saw them all interacting. And then they went back and you had another Iron Man movie. So it was like immediately you got to keep following these characters. But now it's like we had a Miss Marvel series. Who the hell knows when we'll get another Miss Marvel series? Yeah. If ever. And
I don't know.
It's frustrating, because even though there's hints to what's coming, and I'm like, trust, there's another big moment at the end where my ass, even though it ain't the comic book version of what I wanted, it's still getting closer to it. And I'm like, oh shit.
Getting excited.
At the same time, it's like, when, motherfucker, that's like,
I get you. I just, again, just to close that note about Monica Rambeau, MCU, I don't think we've had enough time with her.
No.
And we've and again, people say, well, you do know a little, her backstory, she's a scientist and she's this and that, she's smart. And then Auntie Carol was like, all right, but who is she on her own? Who is she on her, 10 toes down? Like,
where has she been for really these last years, where Carol, when her mom was in the hospital.
Remember, she was blipped. She was blipped. So she lost a lot of her life too. But okay, let's talk about how that shit affected her.
Yeah,
right?
let's talk about that. So where's her boo before she got blipped? Like, who is she? What happened?
Did she have a boo? It doesn't matter.
Yeah, did she have a boo? What's her love life? What was going on with her?
I want to know Monica, right? Especially the way that they are, the implications of the end of the Marvels. Y'all have got to give me more Monica. There's no fucking way.
But I don't feel like we are until a big a big mashup movie. I especially with that end, because the way that end is set up, it does not feel like they're going to be like, oh, well, here's the Monica series.
Yeah,
it does not feel like that. I could be wrong. Maybe next week I'll be eating these words.
Maybe. To add on to
Monica and next week is announced.
To add on to what we were saying
weird,
about,
why not?
To add on to what we were saying about Miss Marvel, Iman Vellani's Miss Marvel, just continuing to love her. They leaned in so hard on how they were able to build her up from the TV show. They let Iman be Iman and really continue to express that fan, that you have powers too, but you're a fan, right? And it's just like, oh my God, like it was giving me shades of like when Peter Parker first got it. Oh, Mr. Stark.
Yes.
Like it gave me that. It's like at the end of the day, like this is still a kid, it's a young kid that while they have powers and they're learning themselves, they're into it, they're a teenager and they are fucking mind blown when their heroes are like talking to them and dapping them up or even giving them the time of day. Like they make it very clear, like I'm in the same fucking room and breathing the same air, just like in real life, when we sit here and we see our heroes or we talk to our heroes or we meet them at the Comic-Cons or you meet them at the conferences or events and you're like, oh my God, that person wrote every book I ever read for the last 10 years. You know what I'm saying? Like that level of and even they even have a common conversation about that level of like almost you making someone into a deity, like how that's both good and bad, right? Like I think the way that they were able to allow her to express that and just continue being her, but also just be a character that everyone can cling on to. Like Iman is the audience, right? Iman exemplifies a lot of what the audience feels throughout the different scenes in the film. Miss Marvel, okay, to be specific, but I just felt like Miss Marvel was a tether to like the best parts of everything that I liked about the Marvels.
No, easily. Yeah, I absolutely just eats alive. And one thing like that, I think she is like a lightweight version of Deadpool, where she talks about things in a meta sense, where we as the audience are getting the inside joke. It's not like she's turning to the camera and being like, I'm in this movie right now. But things that she says are so meta.
Yeah.
And
she's not breaking the fourth wall, but she's being very meta.
But she's pushing on that fourth wall. She ain't breaking it, but she's like leaning on it like, y'all know what I'm saying right here.
There's a line she says in this film. This is not a spoiler, but there's a line she says in this film where they're looking at her information, right? And, hold on. Before I mention any names, I just want to make sure that it's public that this person is in the film. Yes, Nick Fury. So okay. Just want to make sure because I didn't see the last trailer. So Nick Fury, says, we have intel on you, right? And they're looking at it on their little tablet and Kamala goes, well, why is it on a clear screen?
Yes.
And it's just like little things that, as an audience, like the audience that we were with, actually, a lot of them erupted into laughter, like giggles and stuff. Cause they were like, well, damn, you're right. Like the stuff that we would ask, BenHaMeen ourselves would ask, like, when things are obvious and we're like, why would y'all do that? Or why did she say that? Or why did they do, what I'm saying? Like the things that you as an observer would probably question and ask, that was Kamala doing, right? Like she was doing that. And that's why I said serving as the stand-in for what an audience member would be if they were in that position.
And then being an audience member who's also a super fan, like we all are.
Correct.
So it's audience members.
And she's a super fan in real life. Like
so it's like and she also is a super fan where without being that's that fourth wall leaning when I'm talking about, because like she knows things that are, well, not knows things, but she'll inhabit scenes that we as the audience have seen and make references to things that we've seen that her character hasn't seen. But because she's making those references, we're all like, oh, and laughing at the jokes and stuff. Like that whole end sequence that we're not going to, spoil for you is just such a meta moment. And I was, in my chair screaming, damn near finishing Kamala's lines for her and shit.
Yeah.
Like, yeah.
Samuel L. Jackson, Nick Fury, right? Like,
he's great.
He's great. No notes. Like, continue doing your thing.
No, let's get Let's get to the notes.
We'll get into notes. The family was great, all that.
Yeah.
Let's talk about Dar-Benn.
Oof.
Played by Zawe Ashton.
Oof.
Dar-Benn is the alleged, I gotta say alleged, big bad in this film.
I will say this, that woman is a quite attractive woman, and they made her look quite unattractive. So, that worked, like as a villain, she is definitely unattractive.
She was giving me uncle
her
vibes.
Facial expressions are like
no.
Well,
I don't know. I don't know about that, Ben, but she was giving me uncle vibes because in this film she has like gold teeth and
and then her facial expressions are like they're like, you don't need to make yourself so ugly, woman. Like she is really going on like,
I don't feel the same, but okay.
Okay, I wasn't feeling it. But
let's talk about her.
No, I wasn't
feeling
villain. Dar-Benn. Like, all right, let me talk about this. This is from a writing perspective, and just it's the same issue I have with Loki, where Dar-Benn's whole issue is created in this film. Well, I mean, we saw the actions that led to it in the first film, but we don't see why she's doing what she's doing now. Like, she's motivated by what Carol does in the first film, but then that led to a big Civil War shit, which we don't. What?
Yeah, we had no that had nothing to do with us.
There was a Kree Civil War. What? And so because of that, it's like, okay, this Kree Civil War did all these things, and that's why Dar-Benn is moving, which was caused by Carol, yes. But I needed to see some of the Kree Civil War to give a shit about the Kree, because honestly, I've never given a shit about the Kree. We never had a reason to. Never. For the most part, they've been used as villains in the MCU.
Right.
So why should I care now that their world is fucked up and Dar-Benn has to go on this, trying to save them? And her methods of saving them are so extreme that it's like,
I didn't understand why Dar-Benn was so aggy in this film.
Because we didn't see any of it.
Right. And when I said I didn't understand, like, they said why she was mad, but I didn't understand why she was. I was like, okay, and like, who, like,
niggas die every day.
Niggas die every day. Be like, what's the problem? Like, I don't know. Like, it wasn't. I do agree with you that there was a critical point, but also just from a villain perspective, this was a very one-note flat villain once again.
Even once you know their motivations, even if I'd seen the Kree Civil War, it would still be Dar-Benn is just boring as fuck.
Dar-Benn's boring. Is Dar-Benn powerful? I don't know, because they, again, with this whole power level depiction, I don't know what's fucking going on with this.
Yeah, there's got to be.
Sometimes you would think she's on par with Captain Marvel, and it's like, how?
How?
And other times it's just like the most simple thing. The most simple thing fucks her up, and it's just like, well, shit. If that's it, then what? Why can't Captain Marvel take care of her? So again, it just doesn't make sense that she doesn't matter. I'm gonna tell y'all right now, Dar-Benn does not matter.
No.
Whatsoever. That literally, and what I found, and because we're going into our notes, right? Mm-hmm. The issues we've had with the film. Dar-Benn being one of them, just simply means to an end. They serve no true purpose. They are a narrative means to get a character from point A to point B, quite literally.
And then they don't even help the character on an arc, which was one of my big issues with the film.
Point A to point B in terms of they need to get from McDonald's to Burger King. Yeah. That's what they're doing. That's it.
I feel like a lot of characters in the film move plot, but they don't move character. Like, plot doesn't move the character in the film. It's like characters move the plot, and then at the end of it, they're pretty much the same characters that we knew from before. There's not really any, like, oh man, I went on a journey with these people. Yeah, I didn't feel that from this film.
I felt no journey from Dar-Benn.
I felt no journey from pretty much anyone.
Like you said, that I like that you mentioned the plot versus character. She was a vehicle to drive plot.
Yeah,
nothing about character. And there was actually done a few times where things didn't fucking matter. And it's just like, so why did we do all this? And that, again, not to say that I still didn't enjoy the movie anyway, but it was a note. Like, what was the point?
Yeah,
like, just to
time.
To kill time. And then it's just like, but then you are wasting time. And the movie's not long. And that's what I'm saying. It's just like, but you're wasting time. By doing things to kill time, you are wasting time. We're wasting millions of dollars. We're wasting potentially getting me closer to something that's meaningful, right? So I'm like, all right, nigga, you mad. Next. And that's literally, and from the beginning to end, by the end, it's literally that. It's like, all right, next.
Yeah, I mean, literally, like, at the end of the film, I did not remember exactly what happened to Dar-Benn. Like, honestly, I know the crucial moment of what happened, the point that Tatiana's talking about, where the power levels just made no sense anymore. And then after that, I'm not sure exactly what happened, and I don't care.
For those people who saw Miss Marvel Disney Plus, the same thing that happened in that film happened to Dar-Benn. The TV show happened to Dar-Benn.
Damn, I forgot what happened in the...
I don't. I remember. And that's how I'm going to leave it at that. Because that way, for those who know, you know.
Yeah.
And those who don't, you're not... I haven't told you anything. So, same thing happens. At the end of that happens here. So
yeah, Dar-Benn, like we were discussing it, like Marvel definitely has a villain problem. We've, it's been said many a time that a lot of their villains are whack, or they get turned into the heroes like Loki, and then you don't have a villain anymore. But Dar-Benn is up there with, and I don't even know my man. No, Curse was the other dark Malekith. Malekith from Thor: The Dark World. Dar-Benn is battling for Forgettable.
Yeah. And
absolutely forgettable.
When I looked up
battling that motherfucker.
History of Dar-Benn, like first of all, found out that they gender bended. It used to be a man or a male character, whatever.
Yep.
Who cares? The history of that, like it was Dar-Benn and another Kree soldier that they, and this is in the comics, they put a plan in place to assassinate the ruler of the Kree at the time. The ruler's name is called Clumsy Fallop.
Yes.
And this is what I'm talking about when I'm like, this is some shroom shit that Marvel was on at the time. Because it's like, what are y'all talking about? And as soon as I said it, because I don't know this shit, right? This is comics and this is old school comics. I don't know what's going on. I told Ben. Ben was just like, oh my God, I started laughing.
Yep. Yeah, so to explain, Clumsy Fallop comes from back when I was reading the Silver Surfer comic. This is actually when I fell in love with the Silver Surfer. And Galactus is, you can't really see him. He's up a little higher on my wall. But my obsession with Galactus started back then. And at the time, there was a whole Kree-Skrull war. I mean, there's always a Kree-Skrull war going on in the comics, but at the time, it was really going down. And the Krees, I can't remember who assassinated, that's what it was. They have the Supreme Intelligence, just like how Captain Marvel blew up the Supreme Intelligence in the first Captain Marvel film. Mm-hmm. The Supreme Intelligence, I think Silver Surfer wrecks it in the comics, and somehow because of that, this dude, Clumsy Fallop, who isn't even a Kree, he's another type of alien. He's a weird-looking little dude with these big jowls. Mm-hmm. He gets elected to be the supreme leader of the Kree. I cannot remember how this.
It's like how?
Yeah, I can't remember.
In the Matrix, like how?
It was something. It was some nonsense. And his name is Clumsy Fallop. He was a joke character, obviously. In fact, I didn't find this out till way later. But recently, like last year, I think I found this out. There's a whole history of Clumsy Fallop because the writer, Clumsy Fallop, is actually a joke character based on an editor at Marvel. So the dude was taking shots. Like, I think he was even taking shots at the editor-in-chief. Like, Clumsy Fallop, like, he's basically saying the editor-in-chief of Marvel at the time is Clumsy Fallop. Like, everything he touches fucks up. But somehow he gets elected to be the leader of the Kree or the leader of Marvel. So it was like some heavy shots being thrown. You're Googling who is Clumsy Fallop based on right now.
No. I was doing something totally different. I was just like, okay. What?
Yeah, so that's why he is, but Clumsy Fallop, unfortunately, is not in this movie because that would be taking shots back at his editor, who I think passed away now, so they don't want any of that drama. But yeah, basically Dar-Benn was a minor character who wasn't much of anything in the comics and ain't much of anything in the MCU.
It doesn't make sense. Does Dar-Benn in this film, does she have Ronan the Accuser's mallet?
Yeah, well, okay, Dar-Benn is an accuser. There's more than one accuser.
She is an accuser, okay.
Yeah, there are a bunch of accusers. Ronan is one of them. Okay. So she has Ronan's mallet. But what she doesn't have is the Power Stone, which made Ronan's mallet able to take on the Guardians of the Galaxy.
Okay.
But somehow
I just saw her holding it. I'm like, that looks familiar. Okay.
And Dar-Benn does have one of the bangles that Miss Marvel has the other one. But once again, Miss Marvel's not on the level of Captain Marvel. And Captain Marvel goes toe-to-toe with Thanos. Like, that's what I didn't get to say. People are going to tear this shit apart on that level. Because it's really silly. It's like Captain Marvel goes toe-to-toe with Thanos the last time we see her. And then struggles with Dar-Benn. And needs help with Dar-Benn.
Right, and then it changes Monica depending on the scene.
Yeah, depending on the scene. Monica alone should put in work on Dar-Benn.
Goose could probably take on Dar-Benn.
I mean, Goose should serve Dar-Benn, but and then for that matter, like the one who should struggle with Dar-Benn is Miss Marvel. But even Miss Marvel should be able to fight Dar-Benn.
Yeah.
And yet it takes all three of them to handle this clown for reasons.
For reasons, right? So, not the best.
Dar-Benn is definitely the weak link in this film, and that's probably why I walked away. Like last night, where I walked away, I was like, I probably would have giving this movie a D walking out of it because
Ben was not with the shits at all when we walked out. And I was like, wow, surprising.
And then I was surprised that y'all liked it that much, and I was like,
I liked it a lot.
Even Chico Leo, shout out to the brother Chico Leo, he came through for the screening last night, and he really enjoyed it. And Chico Leo is a harsher critic,
and Chico don't like nothing
than I will ever be. So
Chico don't like nothing. So for him, we all had a great time. So anyway,
and that's why when I wanted to sit with it, and when I did sit with it overnight, I really did like, damn, I'm on like, God, fucking damn, this woman can, it's like back in the day, my man said I could listen to Snoop read the phone book, Snoop Dogg read the phone book, and it's the same thing with Amon. I could watch her do anything, and I'd be highly entertained. Yeah.
Other notes for this film, there were some goofy things, some goofy scenes or inclusions that I'm just like, y'all didn't have to throw that. Y'all didn't we didn't need, the film is not dark or dour by any point. Yes, there's things that are important and potentially sad, but there's nothing on a level of, damn, this is depressing. So it didn't need injections of honestly, what's his face level humor from the Thor series, the later Thor series. It did.
You thought it got that bad?
No. It was just certain things where I could tell it gave me shades of it.
You're right. That singing shit.
Who directed it? Taika Waititi.
Yeah.
Taika Waititi. So there were a couple scenes where I'm like, this is almost it was just wild. Where's this why is this happening?
Yeah.
There was one, and I'm not gonna give it away. It involves Goose, or involves Goose.
Yep.
Where I actually thought it was just so outrageous that it was funny, right? And I'm like, all right, good, and it made sense in the moment. I'm like, okay,
yep.
Fine, whatever, fine. I could see that in a comic book. Great. Then there was another scene where it was just why did y'all throw this in here? Literally, you threw it in there because you felt like you needed to inject that level of Taika Waititi type humor. But I'm like, but why? We weren't depressed. It wasn't a serious, and that's what I'm saying. There was never a point in this film where I'm just like, damn, that's almost negativity and so dark. I hate sand. It was none of that. It was just, all right, let's keep things are happening. Let's keep going. We don't necessarily need then a weird song and dance happening. I just didn't understand. And I'm not going to say exactly what happened, but it just, I just didn't get, I was like, why are we throwing that in there? And then again, characters that don't matter, that you may never see again. Or if we do see again, good luck. But you may never see this person again. And it's just well, what was the point? And really, once again, it feels like how they did with Darben. It was just a means to an end. Yeah. This is a way for them to get some new comic book hero suits. Some new, you know what I mean?
Yeah, that was all that was.
Everything that was happening was just okay, someone, I said that earlier. I need to get from my house and I need to get in an Uber to go to the fucking party. Yeah. All right. What am I going to do in the middle of that? It doesn't matter what fucking Uber you get in, right? As long as you get there, right?
And see, that goes back to what I was saying, because that's not, your characters aren't driving this plot. The plot is driving these characters. The characters aren't I need to solve this issue that I have, and that leads me to this and that. It's the plot is you need a new suit. So this leads you to this and that.
So let's interject this random detour for no reason. And it's not really a detour, but the point is, it's just
no, it is.
It's just something. All right, whatever. It's
a pointless detour. It is. Call what it is. It's a pointless detour.
Okay.
Yeah.
There were a couple, and again,
it's cold world, and this is ice.
For me, myself, and I, these were not things that technically detracted from the film. I was just damn, that really fucked me up, and I was upset that they did it. No, it was just notes that of stuff I'm I could have did without.
Yeah.
So whatever.
Yeah, that's what I mean. It's the big hole in this film for me is Darben. And everything that happens around her is just whatever. And because of that, that's that's your antagonist. And that does take away from a lot of it. And because of that, I don't this film is to me, it's why it's the exact same problems I'm having with Loki, where it's Tom Hiddleston and Mon are just fucking incredible. I can watch them do anything. And I am watching them do anything because I'm not watching them have much of a story.
Because you have no choice.
Yeah, and I have no story. You want to
see them, and this is all you got to see them. So it's
because
using an Uber example, they sent you a raggedy ass Honda Civic. It's well, goddamn it, I still need to make this party.
And
I'm getting in it.
And that Uber example is even better. It's like I'm still going to the party. And I'm in the party. I'm in the Uber with Tom, and I'm in the Uber with Emma, and this is a great ride. But I never got to the party. I'm still waiting on that party. You know what I mean? It's like, maybe next movie I'll get to the party because this is a great ride, but nothing happened. You know, I didn't get to meet the girl at the party. You know, I didn't get to see that dope DJ I'd been waiting to see. You know, I didn't have that adventure at 4 a.m. that I'll remember forever. I just had a ride to the party with some great people, and it was like, you know, we had some jokes and we had fun.
You know? Shout out to everybody. I had fun.
Yeah, but it wasn't the adventure that I was waiting to go on. Okay. It's like we all, you know, it's like it's like if you want to play Dungeons and Dragons, you know, we're all at the end chilling, and you know, we're about to go on the adventure, but we're just all at the end chilling, having fun, talking shit about all the adventures we've had before. Oh, remember that? Oh, remember that? Oh, yeah, that was funny. Ha, ha, ha. Oh, remember these? Remember the flirkins? Ha, ha, ha. Let's bring it. Ha, 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 ha. You know, that's was this movie. And it's because of the and once again, here's charisma and here's everything. Because Brie, to me, doesn't, or they're not giving her the shit for that. It's like, but because they have her mind in this film, it's like, oh, ha, 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 okay, yeah, I can watch all this and be enjoyed. But at the end of it, I'm like, damn, we didn't even get to go on the fucking adventure, did we? Like, we just sat around the end talking shit.
Well, I was okay with the shit. I was okay with sitting around the end talking shit. Okay, I really
for the most part, I was, but
I really like the film. This period,
I
really like the film, and it's so fucked up how much dog in this film, and how much people, how dare you, the way you try to fucking sit there and blame Nia. Like, we have a clip that just came out yesterday on Twitter that you guys are going to see on the rest of our socials, where it's like literally everything I was questioning on our last show, Nia pretty much debunked. And even things that Ben was saying, Ben was saying, oh, well, actually, no, like white men do it all the time. Corroborated. Yeah. Like, I just, y'all crazy. This film is good.
Yeah, I think this film is
good.
This film is
good. You're going to enjoy yourself.
You're going to enjoy yourself. I do say, I think it is a little bit more, lighthearted isn't the word I want. It's a little just more light in general. It's not, because it's
low stakes. It's low stakes.
Low stakes.
It's low stakes. And unfortunately, I would say that you had communicated, you know, many, many times over the years how the low stakes then is only a means of an end itself. Like, the film itself is only a means of an end to the end credits, right?
Yeah,
because
it's
the end credits, the post credits have way larger implications than what happened in the film.
And low stakes wouldn't matter to me if there was a character-driven film. I do not feel like this is a character-driven film. I feel like this is an actor-driven film because the actors are saving it with their charisma and stuff. But I do not feel like the characters drive this plot at all. And I don't feel like the characters at the end of it are any different than I started them from, other than that they've met some new people.
Yeah. So maybe we will have another review, but like true spoilers where we're talking about specific things.
Probably do a group joint, get an all-star review.
Yeah. But you know, again, just there were problems, there were some issues, but to me, issues that were indicative of what Marvel has been doing anyway for the last few years.
Yeah. And this is not Thor: Love and Fucking Thunder.
Absolutely not. Absolutely not.
I don't walk out of movies, and I regret.
We wanted to walk out of.
I regret not walking out of that one. Yeah. I should have shown solidarity with intelligence and walked out of that film.
Solidarity with intelligence, I love it. Kudos to the cast of the Marvels. As mentioned, it drops November 10th, which is, depending on when you hear this, it might have been done already, but which is this Friday. Good movie. Go see that shit. Loved it. Action was on point for me. Most of the characters on point for me. It really doesn't matter because you're gonna get some that post credit scene is going to fuck you up, like whether in a good or bad. Some people, I wrote, like in my tweet, I wrote it's gonna leave fans yelling, and I mean that in the sense of some people are gonna be like, why? And other people are gonna be like, yeah. And I was one of the yeah people because I already saw it coming too. So.
Fucking Kelsey. Hey y'all, thank you for watching this ForAllNerds video. Whatever video it was that you just watched, make sure you hit these buttons below. Press all those buttons, that like, that subscribe. Whatever you see right below these fingertips right here, just hit them, hit them, hit them.